VOA Africa.
Good evening, I'm Esther Githuiyuat. It's Friday, June 14th. This is Africa 54. United Nations AIDS Organization sounds the alarm on Zimbabwe's shortage of antiretroviral drugs. Uganda rolls out Ebola screening at the border with the Democratic Republic of Congo. Zimbabwe is in a dire situation as it battles to combat the spread of AIDS. A top official of the United Nations AIDS Organization is visiting the country as it faces a shortage of antiretroviral drugs known as ARV drugs that stop the progress of the disease. While the situation is severe for HIV-positive Zimbabweans, it is worse for inmates living with the virus at the Harare prison who say they are struggling to get treatment for opportunistic infections. Columbus Mavunga has their story.
Officials say Zimbabwe's maximum security prison is overcrowded, and that is putting a strain on resources, including medicines for inmates that are living with HIV, the virus that causes AIDS. Among these female inmates are those living with HIV. Some say the shortage of ARV drugs is not the problem.
But that's all there is, ARVs for people living with HIV like me, but not drugs for opportunistic infections like amoxicillin or for STIs. We don't even have painkillers. So if those kids, children of inmates, fall sick, there's nothing to give them. Officials are saying things are tough out there, so there's nothing they can do.
This prison doctor, Blessing Doroba, said the drug shortage can be traced back to the National Pharmaceutical Company, which he says has not supplied the prison hospital for some time now. He says as soon as that is addressed, HIV-positive inmates will have drugs to fight infections. Shannon Heder, the Deputy Executive Director of UNAIDS, said she came to Zimbabwe to see how it is helping vulnerable groups such as prison inmates and sex workers. Heder says Zimbabwe has a good track record on AIDS, noting that the country introduced a tax to help patients known as the AIDS levy back in the 1990s.
But I think we all worldwide, and this includes Zimbabwe, what got us to this point in the response won't necessarily get us to the next level, because what's left to do might be a little bit more complicated than what we did first. And so I think Zimbabwe has the capacity to really accelerate, to meet the 2020 goals, to be a model of the response.
Zimbabwe's National AIDS Council says the country needs foreign currency to import medications.
I think the shortage has been the shortage of foreign currency. I think we do have the AIDS levy, and it is sufficient to cover the gap that we require. But we obviously have not accessed the foreign currency that we require to import the medicines.
The lack of foreign currency has also made the country unable to import basic needs like food and fuel. Earlier this week, the country's health minister said Harare has begun receiving drugs from countries like India, which donated drugs worth $250,000. That might ease the problem of shortages for prisoners with HIV who can't work to buy medicine on their own. Columbus Mavunga for VOA News, Harare.
Uganda has started strict Ebola screenings at its border with the Democratic Republic of Congo. The East African nation's action came after 2 people who crossed into the country earlier this week died of the dreaded disease. Francesca Lina has the details.
Ebola screenings at the border between Uganda and the Democratic Republic of Congo, after a Congolese woman became the second patient in Uganda to die this week, confirming the spread of the virus across the border. The 50-year-old woman was the grandmother of a 5-year-old boy who died on Tuesday. Authorities have since sent their relatives back to Congo, including a 3-year-old boy, confirmed to be suffering from the disease. According to the World Health Organization, there has been no known person-to-person spread of Ebola within Uganda.
The situation is worrying, but also under control, because we have prepared adequately for this situation. We knew anything could happen since about 10 months ago, and it has happened. So it has found us prepared. We are on ground, and we are doing everything technically possible to see that we contain the situation in the shortest time possible.
The WHO has sent in 3,500 additional vaccines this week and will continue distributing them to health workers and those who have been in contact with patients over the weekend. The current Ebola epidemic began in August last year in eastern Congo. It has already killed 1,390 people, making this outbreak the second largest on record.
Francesca Lina of Reuters with that report. In a late development, a World Health Organization advisory panel met on Friday, and it appears likely it will declare an international emergency over the Ebola epidemic in the Democratic Republic of Congo now that it has spread to Uganda. The Sudanese public prosecutor says jailed former President Omar al-Bashir is being charged with corruption. Al-Bashir was ousted and arrested in a coup by the military on April 11th after months of mass protests over his 30-year reign. The Sudan news agency on Thursday quoted an official source as saying that al-Bashir is being charged under foreign exchange possession materials and the heinous and suspicious wealth and emergency orders. Meanwhile, Sudan's military rulers say they have thwarted several coup attempts and that some officers are under arrest over the deadly dispersal of demonstrators at a sit-in in Khartoum earlier this month. Stalled talks between the military council and an alliance of opposition groups over who should control a transition towards election collapsed after security forces crushed the sit-in on June 3rd. Opposing reports say at least 61 people were killed during the crackdown, but the death toll could be as high as 118. The West African branch of the Islamic State terrorist group is claiming responsibility for an attack on a Nigerian army base in northeastern Borno State, according to Reuters. The extremist organization says its fighters killed 20 soldiers, but Nigerian officials have not commented on that claim. The assault, which raises questions about government claims to have almost defeated the insurgents, occurred Wednesday in the town of Kareto. Security sources say the base, located 130 kilometers northwest of Maiduguri, had been overrun and the commander killed. In North Africa, the head of the Libyan parliament aligned with Eastern forces trying to seize the capital from the internationally backed government says there won't be any peace talks until they have captured the city. Forces led by Khalifa Haftar launched an offensive on Tripoli in early April, but the assault has stalled in the face of stiff resistance from local armed groups aligned with the UN-recognized government there. Haftar and his backers say they are trying to free the capital from militias which they blame for destabilizing Libya since the fall of Muammar Gaddafi in a NATO-backed uprising in 2011. Haftar's critics accuse him of trying to seize power through force and deepening a conflict between factions based in the east and west of Libya. Algerians angry with their current regime are protesting for the 17th consecutive Friday. Mass demonstrations began early this year with the public demanding the removal of the ruling elite and the prosecution of people protesters see as corrupt. Algeria's Supreme Court on Thursday remanded ex-Prime Minister Abdelmalek Sellal in custody over graft allegations, according to State TV. The move is a continuing crackdown on claims of corruption and cronyism among associates of former President Abdelaziz Bouteflika. Sellal is one of the closest Bouteflika associates to be detained since mass protests erupted in February. Authorities are postponing a presidential election previously planned for July 4th, citing a lack of candidates. No new date has been set for the vote. Now, controversy swirls around U.S. President Donald Trump's assertion that there is nothing wrong with listening to information about a political rival, even if it comes from a foreign country. The president stunned even some fellow Republicans with his statement that aired Wednesday on an American television network. VOA's Latza Hawk reports critics see his remark as an invitation to foreign governments to further interfere with the U.S. democratic system.
Top House Democrat Nancy Pelosi said Thursday that Trump has once again shown he doesn't know right from wrong.
Everybody in the country should be totally appalled by what the president said last night. Should be totally appalled. But he has a habit of making appalling statements. This one borders on so totally unethical that he doesn't even realize it.
The president's televised comments made it difficult for his Republican colleagues to defend him.
I've watched this president stand up against these foreign entities, and he would not allow any foreign country to interfere in our elections.
Senator Mitt Romney from Utah, a Republican who ran for president twice, did not even try.
That's probably illegal already. If it's not, we got to make sure it is illegal. But simply allowing foreign governments to try and involve themselves in our elections is something we cannot allow and would be very much contrary to the spirit of democracy.
Members of Congress unanimously condemned Russia's interference in the U.S. 2016 presidential election, and many are pushing for a voting security legislation. But these efforts have been blocked by Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, a staunch Trump supporter. Chuck Schumer, top Democrat in the Senate, raised the issue on Thursday.
We have multiple bipartisan election security bills that are just languishing here in the Senate. We even have a bill introduced by the ranking member of the Intelligence Committee that would make it a campaign's legal duty to report to the FBI when a foreign power offers its assistance. Very simple. A foreign power comes to your campaign and offers assistance, you tell the FBI.
Analysts say the bills will probably continue to languish because of Trump's unwavering support by Republican voters. A Republican lawmaker challenging Trump too openly would put in jeopardy his or her own re-election. Zlatica Hawk, VOA News, Washington.
Another change is taking place at the White House. Press Secretary Sarah Sanders is resigning and departing her post within weeks. She says she's returning to her home state of Arkansas. President Trump praised Sanders' work, adding he hopes she will run for the governor of Arkansas, a job her father Mike Huckabee once held for 11 years. Sanders has been one of the president's most trusted aides during her tenure in the West Wing from the start of the Trump presidency, rising from principal deputy press secretary to the top spokesperson. Sanders says she is looking forward to spending more time with her 3 children. Meanwhile, another member of the White House staff is under fire. A U.S. government watchdog agency is recommending that Kellyanne Conway, one of President Trump's closest White House aides, be fired for repeatedly engaging in partisan political attacks while working as a federal employee. The Office of Special Counsel informed the White House by letter that Conway has become a repeat offender of the Hatch Act, which strictly limits federal workers from engaging in political activity while on the job. The office says given that Ms. Conway is a repeat offender and has shown disregard for the law, the special counsel's office recommends that she be removed from federal service. The White House counsel is contesting those conclusions, saying the agency made unfair and unsupported claims against a close advisor to the president. The agency's report says Conway violated the law by disparaging Democratic presidential candidates while speaking in her official capacity during television interviews and on social media. The report also says if Conway's violations go unpunished, it would send a message to all federal employees they need not abide by the Hatch Act's restrictions. We're excited to hear what you think about Africa 54. Join the discussion on Facebook. The address is Africa 54. We're also streaming our broadcast live on Facebook. Please watch and share our show with your friends. Also check out our headlines 24/7 on voaafrica.com. Still to come, raising awareness through music about the plight of the continent's albinos. We'll be back.
Sally, host and senior editor of VOA's international call-in talk show, Straight Talk Africa.
Today we'll examine the tobacco industry.
We pretty much touch on anything that you can think of. Politics, health issues, human rights issues, you name it, we talk about it. The issues that we discuss are pertinent to most people on the African continent. A very, very rare and unique opportunity to interact with their leaders.
The lyrics could be French,
English,
Portuguese,
Bantu,
Arabic.
It is the beat.
The African beat that counts.
The beat does all the translations.
It cuts across all languages and gives us the understanding that this is the African beat.
It is so distinct
and adhesive.
It binds us together.
African Beat on the Voice of America. For more information, visit our website at www.voanews.com/AfricanBeat.
The 2020 U.S. presidential election is still a way off, but President Trump already appears to be setting his sights on Democratic presidential contender and current front-runner Joe Biden. Nearly 24 other Democratic candidates are also targeting Biden. Here's VOA's national correspondent Jim Malone with a status report on the 2020 presidential campaign.
So please welcome Vice President Joe Biden.
In the early voting state of Iowa, Democratic Party frontrunner Joe Biden wastes little time in going after President Donald Trump.
But this is a guy who does everything to separate and frighten people. It's about fear and loathing. It's about the way he calls people the names he calls them. No president has done something like that, for God's sake. I mean, it's bizarre, and it's damaging.
Well, thank you very much.
Biden is apparently on the president's mind as well, as Trump considers possible challengers for next year.
Joe never got more than 1%, except Obama took him off the trash heap, and now it looks like he's failing. It looks like his friends from the left are going to overtake him pretty soon. But I heard, his whole campaign is to hit Trump.
Polls show Biden leading the Democratic presidential field, with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders generally trailing in second place.
So this is what you've got left over.
Among those on the rise is Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, with a focus on policy specifics and passion.
On the question of gun violence, I will be fearless. We will fight side by side, and we will protect our children.
The other thing that's at stake right now.
Also gaining is South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg, who offers the party a younger alternative.
New thinking, bold action, a focus on the future. I'm running for president because of the seriousness of the moment that we're living in.
Trump has emerged as the central issue in the Democratic primary battle, which appears to be benefiting Biden, says analyst Larry Sabato.
A large majority tell pollsters they want, above all, someone who will beat Trump. They are willing to take a nominee with whom they disagree on a wide variety of issues because they will agree with that candidate more than they will agree with Trump.
Recent polls show Biden beating Trump by a wide margin, but the president is eager to dismiss the entire Democratic field as too far to the left.
Every day, the Democrat Party is becoming more and more unhinged and more extreme. They're going crazy. Do you love it? I sort of love it. Right?
Trump is hoping Democrats nominate a hard left candidate, says Larry Sabato.
The Republicans and Trump want to make the Democrats overconfident. If they're overconfident, they're more likely to nominate a candidate who's well to the left, pleasing the Democratic activists, but nearly guaranteeing a defeat in November of 2020. So that's the hidden agenda behind what you're hearing from the Trump camp.
The 2020 race moves into a new phase later this month with the first official Democratic debates featuring 20 presidential contenders. Jim Malone, VOA News, Washington.
I'm Clara Frank, and here's what's trending.
African tech ventures open the market at the London Stock Exchange, kickstarting a day of robust discussion at Africa Tech Summit, including hot topics like fintech and blockchain. On a continent with the world's youngest population, the tech industry is seen as vital to development and growth. Africa is not at the same level as the rest of the world in terms of cryptocurrency use. Limited access to smartphones, stable power supplies, and internet connection are just some of the stumbling blocks in the way. But with smartphone usage expected to jump exponentially to 67% by 2025, many investors are optimistic. The summit, the fourth ever of its kind in London, fell during London Tech Week, Europe's biggest technology festival. Next up, the annual E3 convention, which specializes in everything to do with video gaming, opened its doors earlier this week. Gaming fans rushed in to get their hands on games, hardware, and consoles. Fans sampled the latest wares from studios like Square Enix, Capcom, Ubisoft, and Bethesda. However, one major element was missing at E3 this year: Sony and PlayStation. The biggest news to hit E3 is the adoption of cloud gaming by Microsoft's Xbox and also Stadia, Google's entry into gaming. Although this seems new to some, technology company Shadow have been successfully doing cloud gaming for the past 2 years. And finally, Nintendo shared new details on dozens of upcoming Switch titles during their E3 presentation. The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening will be released on Switch on September 20th. The game is a remake of a classic Game Boy adventure. Nintendo announced 2 downloadable characters for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. The hero, who represents the protagonist from multiple Dragon Quest games, will join the roster this summer. Meanwhile, Animal Crossing New Horizons will let you create your own island getaway, and you can share your island with up to 8 players. 4 players will also be able to play on a single Switch at the same time. And that's what's trending today.
In our Friday Music Maker segment, Heather Maxwell, host of Music Time in Africa, and Kwame Ofori introduced Ntade, a music video by Ruby, the exciting award-winning Tanzanian vocalist who is raising awareness on the plight of Africa's albinos. Let's watch.
All right. Hello, everybody. Hello. In honor of International Albinism Awareness Day, today's song of the week is about love and family as it concerns albinism in Africa. And once again, Kwame Ofori joins me in the studio to present.
Hi, everyone.
How you doing, Kwame?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. So the name of this song is Ntade, which means I cling to you.
Okay.
It's by Tanzanian pop and bonga star Ruby. Ruby is lovely, and this is a really lovely story of a woman who is played in the video by Ruby herself and an albino man. He's a musician, and the father of Ruby tries to pull them apart because he does not agree with this love affair, but in the end, it doesn't work.
Stubborn African fathers. Stubborn African fathers. Like, let them be.
It doesn't work, but let's watch this beautiful video.
Definitely.
Music, very beautiful there, Ruby. Thank you very much. As they say in Swahili, asante sana. Thank you very much. And that's our show for today. Be sure to watch Africa 54 on our website at voaafrica.com. From all of us here in Washington, have a great weekend.